Hi everyone, I'm so happy to see you guys back on my channel. Your subscribe and comments mean very important to me. Thank you. Now enjoy this story. My original name is Zhao Long, the son of the Zhao family, but I don't understand why my parents are only cold and ruthless to me, but full of doting and pride for that adopted brother. Since I was born, I have had a piece of the strongest supreme bone in my body, which can lead to a stronger power. And today, my parents stood in front of me and said expectantly, Zhao Long, your brother needs the supreme bone in your body. For the recognition of my parents and the smiles of my sisters, I did not hesitate to destroy my future and dug out the supreme bone in my body with my own hands, the treasure that symbolizes my future and power. In the end, my parents successfully transplanted it into the body of the adopted brother, hoping that this adopted brother can become the most promising generation of Tianjiao. I thought that this sacrifice could awaken my parents' love for me, because once I lost this supreme bone, I might be like a waste and unable to practice anymore. But I didn't expect that my efforts would be exchanged for coldness and ruthlessness. When my foundation was destroyed and my body became weaker day by day, they did not find a miracle doctor to treat me, nor did they prepare any nourishing food for me, until I was terminally ill and finally died on the cold bed. But at that moment, they did not feel any pain, not even a single tear. It is strange, isn't it? My dear sisters looked at me, lying motionless on the bed, and began to cover their noses in disgust. And my parents were even more disgusted by my rotting body. Ironically, after I died, they finally looked at me, but they were only disgusted. At that moment, my heart was completely dead, broken, and could never be healed. Maybe God couldn't bear to see them bullying me like this, so he gave me a chance to be reborn. Now, I am reborn with hatred in my heart. Since my past sacrifices were only met with indifference, I will never give a single cent to the Zhao family in this life, and I will never be so foolish as to give the treasure in my body to that vicious brother. Today, at my brother's coming-of-age ceremony, in front of everyone, I endured the severe pain and dug out my own half-lived bones with my own hands, and threw them in front of my parents and sisters without hesitation. You gave birth to me and raised me, and now I give everything back to you. From now on, we are no longer related, and you are no longer my relatives. I said coldly, my words like a knife, severing the last ties with the Zhao family. I thought that if I just left, they would feel relieved and would not bother me again. However, the truth was far more than that. The Zhao family regretted not squeezing out the last bit of value from me, and even more regretted after I left them. The Bai family took me in a lonely person. To express my gratitude, I decided to take the Bai family's surname Bai and named myself Bai Long. From then on, I had no relationship with the Zhao family. Fortunately, the Bai family gave me enough resources to practice, which made my cultivation level soar, and I became one of the most promising geniuses of the contemporary era. Seeing my growing reputation in the martial arts world, and their greed and resentment, they were afraid that my growing power would come back to retaliate against them, and they made a crazier decision out of fear. Since they couldn't get me, they wanted me to completely disappear from this world. At this time, on the battlefield, the beast tide from the Ximen examination hall attacked, and the scene was in chaos. Bai Yaya was still fighting on the battlefield, but suddenly she felt her heart tighten, and an inexplicable uneasiness surged in her heart. She always felt that something big was going to happen. At this time, Tian beside her looked at her worriedly and asked, Sister Bai, what's wrong with you? At this moment, Bai Yao's phone suddenly rang. She picked up the phone and heard her uncle Bai Donghua's voice, which was hurried and full of fear. Bai Yao, something bad has happened. The signal of the Ximen examination room has disappeared, and a beast tide has erupted. 100,000 alien beasts are attacking. Hearing this, Bai Yao felt as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. Her phone fell to the ground with a snap sound, and the blood on Bai Yao's face instantly faded. Bai Long, my younger brother and the adopted son of the Zhao family, they were also in that assessment. Sister Bai, what happened? Tian asked anxiously. Looking at Bai Yao's frightened expression, she couldn't help but become nervous. Tian, I want to leave the examination room. Something happened to Bai Long. Bai Yao quickly stood up, picked up the phone, and calmly said to the uncle on the other end of the phone, I will leave the examination room right now. You come and pick me up. I'm already at the North Gate monitoring point, and we'll pick you up right away. Bai Donghua's voice was equally nervous. After hanging up the phone, Bai Yao's eyes turned cold. She suppressed her anger and activated the communication function of her bracelet to notify the invigilators in the examination room. Zhao family, How dare you fight in the examination room? You'd better pray that Bai Long is safe. Otherwise, the Zhao family will pay the price for this. The murderous aura spread around Bai Yaya, and Xia Tian even felt an unbearable sense of oppression. She immediately activated the bracelet, took the initiative to withdraw from the exam, and left with Bai Yaya. At the same time, Zhao Xingtian and the Zhao family also received the news, and his face turned pale. He arranged for a killer to assassinate me, but he never expected that the beast tide would break out. Xingtian, let's go. Zhao Wuxuan pulled him and wanted to leave. The beasts of the beast tide began to riot, and the situation was more dangerous than they expected. Sister, my brother is also in the Shiman examination room. We have to go save him. Zhao Xingtian tried to use this excuse to cover up his guilty conscience, even though he knew in his heart that this was meaningless. But he knew that this was the only way to maintain his image. What nonsense are you talking about? It was you who arranged for people to lure the serpentine tiger here last night. Have you forgotten? Zhao Wuxuan said coldly, his eyes full of disdain and anger. At this time, I was still being chased by the beast. The iron-horned rhinoceros locked onto my breath and chased me relentlessly. I was careless for a moment and was knocked away by it. I fell heavily on the cliff, blood gushed out, and my consciousness gradually blurred. My ribs and hand bones were broken, and my breathing gradually became weaker. Zhao family. A huge hatred surged in my heart. Even if I was reborn again, my fate would still be so bumpy. But I would never give in again. I closed my eyes, and my consciousness began to fade. At this moment, a deafening trampling sound came from afar, as if thousands of troops were rushing towards this side. Eva beast, D. A roar suddenly came from afar. The sound was like thunder, shaking the entire forest. I raised my head almost subconsciously and saw a huge moon-shaped hawk swooping down from the sky. Its claws were like sharp steel blades, instantly piercing the thick skin and flesh of the iron-horned rhinoceros. The roar of the iron-horned rhinoceros stopped abruptly, and its huge body collapsed to the ground, as if all its rage was suppressed in an instant. Then, more bright moon hawks appeared in the sky, and countless birds and beasts came from all directions, hovering above me, making deafening cries. The teachers who were chasing me also stopped in front of this earth-shaking craze of beasts, stunned. What on earth is this? A teacher's face turned pale, his eyes were full of fear, and he didn't dare to take another step forward. I propped myself up and tried to stay awake. The blood was flowing all over my body, but my vision was getting blurrier and blurrier. I knew that if these bright moon hawks hadn't appeared, I would have been torn to pieces by the iron-horned rhinoceros. But now, I felt that I was still in a desperate situation. The Zhao family would not let me go so easily, and the threat of the beast tide was far more than these strange beasts in front of me. You are no longer responsible for the life of this evil creature. The familiar female voice came again, with an unquestionable majesty. I looked up and saw a familiar figure rushing towards me from a distance, wearing a white battle armor and looking very imposing. It's Bai Yaya, she's here. A complex emotion surged in my heart. I didn't know whether it was sadness or joy. I was reborn and didn't want to be involved with anyone again, but she came for me again and again. Why did you come? I murmured weakly. Bai Yao's eyes were cold. She glanced around and saw the fallen iron-horned rhinoceros and the corpses of the surrounding beasts. She immediately understood the dangerous scene that had just happened. She stood in front of me, blocking the biting cold wind, and her voice was firm but full of anger. Sooner or later, I will make the Zhao family pay for what they did. Bai Long, you want to leave? But I will never let them hurt you again, shouted at the Zhao family pursuers in the distance. Zhao family, listen to me. From today on, if anyone dares to touch Bai Long, I, Bai Yao, will wipe your Zhao family out of this world. Her voice was filled with unquestionable power, and even caused the faces of those Zhao family members who were chasing after her to change, and they began to retreat uneasily. At this moment, another voice suddenly came from a distance, with a stronger sense of oppression. Although you, Bai Yao, are powerful, do you really think you can fight against the entire Zhao family by yourself? Zhao Xingtian finally showed up. He brought a group of Zhao family masters with him, approaching with a sneer on his face. His eyes were full of malice and greed, as if he had already regarded me as prey. Bai Long, do you really think you can run away? You're already a cripple. The supreme bone is not in you. Where can you escape to? Zhao Xingtian's voice was like a poisonous snake, and every word was full of thorns. I raised my head, clenched my teeth, and the hatred in my heart burned more and more fiercely. But just as I was about to fight back, Bai Yaya stopped talking, and suddenly she drew a long sword. The sword light flashed, and her momentum suddenly surged. No need to say more. Today, I will kill anyone who dares to touch him. The murderous intent in the air instantly froze everyone's movements. The smile on Xiao Xing's face gradually solidified, and a trace of uneasiness emerged in his eyes. He obviously did not expect Bai Yao to stand on my side with such an attitude. You, Xiao Xingtian hesitated for a moment, but still unwilling to give up. He approached step by step, and a cruel smile appeared on the corner of his mouth again. Even if you are powerful, our Zhao family is not afraid of threats. At this moment, a low roar suddenly came from the sky, and a dark tide of strange beasts in the distance suddenly began to gather here, as if the earth was shaking. My heart suddenly tightened, and a sense of uneasiness instantly came over me. Zhou Mang followed the teachers and stared blankly in the direction of the sky. His face was pale, and his eyes were even distracted. The beast tide actually appeared in the direction where I am. It's over, it's really over now. I'm in great danger. Lin Ping was also heading in this direction, but when he saw the strange beasts circling in the sky, he became extremely uneasy. Godfather, now is not the time to dwell on this matter. The key is to quickly seek help from higher-ups. Lin Ping urged. It's too late. There is also a war going on in the outer battlefield. Even if we dispatch a group of strong men to rush back, it will take at least 3 days. Wu Long said helplessly. But what about Bai Long? What about my students? Lin Ping was going crazy. Who are you talking about? Bai Long? Is he in the center of the beast tide? Wu Long's heart suddenly jumped up. Yes, Godfather. If he was not in the beast tide, would I be so nervous? Lin Ping said hurriedly. I will immediately request reinforcements from the higher-ups and send all the strong men to your side. You must break through the beast tide as quickly as possible and rescue the people. The white dragon cannot die. Wu Long panicked. I am someone Bai Yao cares about very much. And Bai Yao said that I have the hope of reaching the peak of the Zhao family's ancestor. If such a hope of mankind dies in the beast tide, it will be an extremely huge blow to all mankind. Lin Ping, even if you die in there, you must rescue the people for me. This is an order, do you understand? Yes. Lin Ping agreed and led the teachers to rush towards the beast tide while waiting for reinforcements. As my consciousness gradually blurred and the breath of life slowly drained from my body, I could hear a low roar in my ears. I held on to my last consciousness, and everything in front of me was hazy, as if the sky and the earth were beginning to become blurred. At this time, an extremely light figure fell from the sky, accompanied by the huge white tiger. She was like the wind and fell from the sky to my side in an instant. I raised my head with great effort, and in front of me was a beautiful woman. She was my most beloved eighth sister, Xiao Bofong. Her figure lightly touched the cliff and landed on the rock wall next to me like a silent feather. Her eyes were full of worry, and when she saw me vomiting blood, she felt like she fell into an ice cellar, and her eyes dimmed instantly. Brother, cheer up. Eighth sister is here. Eighth sister is back. Her voice trembled with great anxiety and sadness. Xiao Bofong gently picked me up and held me tightly in her arms, as if I would completely disappear from her world if she relaxed a little. She took out a tube of top-grade healing potion from her inner ring, and with tears in her eyes, she carefully poured the potion into my mouth. My breathing became a little more stable, but I could clearly feel that the injuries in my body were still as painful as a knife cutting, which was far from enough. It's not enough. How could this happen? She bit her lip, with a determined light flashing in her eyes. She turned around suddenly and let out a beastly roar towards the sky. The sound was full of violence and anger, and it was filled with absolute majesty, shocking the entire forest. Amid the roar, powerful beasts suddenly prostrated themselves on the ground. Regardless of whether they were at the God of War or Grandmaster level, all of their hearts were shattered in an instant, and blood flowed out of their bodies like a fountain. The blood gathered into a shocking stream with an extremely strong fishy smell, and Xiao Bofong's eyes flashed with an unprecedented coldness. She held me in her arms, jumped to the ground as light as a swallow, and gently placed me in the pool of blood. Sister, I tried my best to say something, but my weak body prevented me from even making a sound. She placed a jade hand on my chest, and the determination and madness between her eyebrows made me tremble. The next second, I felt a violent force rushing into my body. Xiao Bofong actually forcibly activated my supreme bone. The second stage of violent force almost made me feel torn apart, but this force was extremely powerful, and the blood gathered towards me as if it had life. I could clearly feel that even the blood of those Grandmaster-level beasts contained terrifying energy. But Xiao Bofong forcibly suppressed these powers, allowing me to absorb only the essence of them to repair my body that was on the verge of collapse. However, this is far from over. General, more and more powerful humans are approaching us. Should we deal with them with all our strength? A 5-meter-tall Titan ape walked over and reported to her in a low voice. Xiao Bofong said coldly without any hesitation, "It will take time for my brother to recover. Go and hold them back. Don't let them get close to you, and don't arouse suspicion." The Titan ape bowed his head respectfully and quickly left to carry out the order. As time went by, I absorbed blood faster and faster, and the air around me was filled with terrifying pressure. Suddenly, Xiao Bofong's body burst out with a monstrous momentum, as if the entire space was shaking. This pressure directly covered a radius of dozens of miles, and I could almost feel every vibration of this power. Her body resonated with the power in her blood, and hundreds of half-living bones on her body emitted an extreme light. These half-living bones of exotic beasts are priceless items that only top-level strong men can possess, and Xiao Baofong actually has hundreds of them. This number is far beyond my imagination and beyond anyone's understanding. A strange beast from the peerless realm. In the distance, Lin Ping felt the pressure, and his face turned pale. Although we were extremely far away, he was still shocked by this extremely terrifying aura. The Wushuang realm was a strong person above the god of war and above everything else. Lin Ping felt extremely desperate for a moment. He couldn't imagine how he would deal with such a powerful existence. "Damn it, how can I win this fight?" he murmured in a low voice, the despair in his eyes growing stronger. Lin Ping felt a deep sense of powerlessness, which made him feel extremely desperate. At that moment, the air was filled with the stench and smell of blood, and I realized that I was in an irreversible disaster. If it is really a beast of the peerless realm, then its existence alone is enough to overthrow half of the capital. I smiled bitterly in my heart. Most of the power of the Dragon Kingdom is now concentrated on the battlefield outside the domain, and even the capital is only guarded by a few war gods. Now, the beast tide is surging, and there is actually a beast of the peerless realm hiding among them. Who can resist this terrifying threat? Bai Donghua's voice came from my ear, revealing deep powerlessness. "Don't go in, Bai Long. I'm afraid he's in danger." I could hear the regret in his words, but I also knew that the regret was more about powerlessness. Who dared to fight against the terrifying beasts of the Wushuang realm? However, Bai Yao's voice broke the silence, cold as ice. "Bai Long is mine. I won't allow him to die before me." Her eyes were cold, without any emotion, as if no life or death in this world could shake her heart. The legendary weapon in her hand flashed, and the spear shook casually, turning into a cold light. She rushed towards the direction of the Shiman examination room without hesitation. "Sister Bai, wait for me!" Xiao Tian chased after her, calling anxiously. Although he knew that this battle was extremely dangerous, he chose to follow Bai Yaya without hesitation. Knowing that it was a dead end, he still chose to go with her. A beast of the peerless realm? Fortunately, it appeared in time, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. When Zhao Wushuan heard the news, his face turned pale, and he let out a long sigh. He was still in shock. Even if he gathered all his strength, he would not be able to contend with a being of this level. "Sister," Zhao Xingtian pretended to be anxious, looked at Xiao Bofong and pretended to be worried. "Brother is still in the center of the beast tide. I'm afraid he is in great danger." However, I clearly saw the ecstasy flashing in his eyes. This disguised brother must have been hoping that I would die in this beast tide. He laughed wildly in his heart, thinking, even if the previous iron-horned rhinoceros couldn't kill me, but this unparalleled beast plus 100,000 beast tide, this time, I will definitely not be able to escape. "Bai Long, just go with peace of mind." Zhao Xingtian laughed secretly in his heart, imagining that everything in the Zhao family would fall into his hands. At this moment, something strange happened. The blood around me suddenly surged violently, and the supreme bone in my body seemed to be pulled by something, growing rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. as if it was driven by a huge amount of energy. Not enough. Xiao Bofong's eyes turned cold. His tone was cold and murderous. Not enough. Come again. She coldly scanned the beasts around her. The moment those beasts received the order, they shattered their hearts without hesitation and fell to the ground and died. Countless blood flowed and gathered at my feet, instantly turning into a bloody ocean. If calculated according to the price of beast blood in the capital, in just 2 hours, I actually absorbed blood worth billions. And more beast blood was absorbed by Xiao Baofong. Otherwise, my body would have been unable to withstand such a huge amount of energy. There are endless exotic beasts, and Xiao Bofong doesn't care about the existence of those low-level exotic beasts. She has a war god-level exotic beast by her side. Why should she waste time using a warrior-level exotic beast? What's more, she only has one brother. On the other side, Xiao Tian was standing outside the monitoring point, staring at the direction of the beast tide. His anxious expression was all disguised, but in fact he was full of expectations. After waiting for a whole night, he just wanted to see my body being carried out with his own eyes. As the sky brightened and the first rays of dawn shone on the earth, the noise of the beast tide seemed to subside a little. The seriously injured Zhou Meng was carried out and sat in a wheelchair, staring blankly in the direction of the beast tide, his eyes full of tears of despair. The sunlight sprinkled on his bloody body, making him look extremely strange and charming. Kacha! Suddenly, a crisp bone sound came from my body, as if some kind of shackles were broken. My Emperor Supreme bone grew rapidly from bud to 1/3 overnight, and power continued to flow into my body, and even my talent broke through to be level. However, the price of all this is the corpses of strange beasts all over the ground. Their blood has been absorbed by me, and next, their corpses will become the key nutrients for my body tempering. A terrifying power surges in my body, as if I can shake the world with just a slight movement. When I slowly opened my eyes, I felt that my whole body's strength was recovering little by little, but I was still immersed in the chaos of exhaustion. A familiar voice came to my ears, with obvious sobs. "Brother, you finally woke up. Brother, don't be nervous. These strange beasts are all my subordinates." Xiao Bofong saw my fear and hurriedly explained, his tone full of uneasiness. However, my heart had already turned cold. I stood up slowly, expressionless, and my voice as cold as ice. "Miss Zhao, why are you here?" Xiao Bofong's face turned pale instantly, and a trace of pain flashed in her eyes. Her eyes stayed on me for a moment, and then she lowered her eyelids, as if she didn't expect me to be so distant. She was once the person closest to me, but now she has become a past that I don't want to face. I have completely despaired of the Zhao family. No matter who it is, no one can change the pain in my heart. What's more, before I fell into a coma, I was still being chased by the iron-horned rhinoceros. Who can guarantee that the appearance of these strange beasts has nothing to do with her? "Brother!" Her voice trembled slightly, but she immediately regained her composure. "I know you hate the Zhao family. You have suffered too much injustice over the years." "Ms. Zhao," I interrupted her rudely. My eyes were cold and emotionless. "You and I have no relationship at all. Please don't use this name anymore. As for the Zhao family, I severed all ties with them a long time ago." She seemed to be struck by my words. Her body trembled slightly, and she was silent for a moment. Then, she sighed and tried to keep herself calm. "Brother, I understand your hatred and your current state of mind. I have dealt with the assassin sent by Xiao Xingtian." As she spoke, she looked towards the woods not far away. Then a 5-meter-tall Titan ape slowly walked out from behind the tree, holding 4 cold corpses in its huge paws. "They were the killers who assassinated me. Their lives have paid off your revenge." Her voice softened, but with determination. I looked up at the bodies, and the anger and hatred in my heart seemed to have subsided a little. But even so, the crimes of the Zhao family could not be erased from my mind. I squinted my eyes, trying to find a trace of disguise or falsehood in her words and expressions, but her face was only sincere. "Do you know why I left the Zhao family without warning?" Xiao Baofong continued, his voice trembling as if he was recalling some painful past. "It's because I had long seen through the Zhao family and what my eldest sister and the others had done. I fought for justice for you many times and tried to change the unfair treatment you received, but Zhao Duanshan turned a blind eye to it and even thought that you deserved it." When she said this, her voice gradually choked, but she remained calm, as if trying to impress me with her sincerity. Brother, I have always known about the suffering you endured in the Xiao family. I also know that you were ridiculed in public at Zhao Xingtian's birthday party. Her voice became gentler and gentler, with a kind of hidden pain. You don't know how much I wanted to rush back to help you that day, but I was on the battlefield outside the domain and was powerless to save the situation. I didn't have the strength back then and couldn't change anything. I didn't want to watch you suffer anymore, so I rebelled against the human camp and joined the alien beasts. With their power, I gained the resources and power you have today. Xiao Bofong's voice was trembling, and her eyes seemed filled with infinite pain and regret. I know she expects me to open my heart to her, but the hatred and suspicion in my heart are still strong. She left me alone back then, and now she suddenly appears with so many powerful beasts. Is it really just for me? These past few years, I've had a very hard time. Her voice was still calm, but mixed with a hint of sadness. I could have chosen not to abandon my family and become a lackey of the alien beasts, but for you, I'm willing to give up everything. She paused and looked into the distance, as if thinking about how to express her next words. Brother, you may not know that I got the secrets of the Holy War 300 years ago from the alien beasts. Those clues about the final form of the Supreme Bone all point to you. Your bone is not just an ordinary Supreme Bone. It can lead to more powerful power. I realized this as early as when you were born, but I didn't have the ability to protect you until today. There was an unprecedented firmness in her voice, as if all the suffering and betrayal were just for this moment of awakening. The coldness in my heart gradually loosened, but I still didn't completely let my guard down. So you left because of these? I looked at her and spoke coldly, with complex emotions surging in my heart. Yes, she nodded, with a resolute look in her eyes. I'm willing to bear everything as long as you can live well. I know that you have given up hope on the Zhao family, but I've been waiting for this day, waiting for you to completely break off all ties with the Zhao family and follow me. Her words were sincere, but I still couldn't fully trust her. I didn't know whether this belated affection was goodwill or a deeper conspiracy. When Xiao Baofong stood in front of me, his eyes were a little sad, but his words were still firm. Bai, your destiny is to embark on the path of becoming the pinnacle of humanity and recreate the glory of our ancestors. But now, the power of the alien beast is far greater than it was 300 years ago. Although that holy war brought them huge losses, it also allowed them to learn enough lessons and quietly accumulate for 300 years. Every word she said hit my heart like a heavy hammer, and I found it hard to believe for a moment. Have these strange beasts found a way to crack the major sects and families of mankind? Tianyin Valley, Supreme Valley, Xunyu Sheng Valley, Extreme Cold 9 Regions Frozen Valley. These names frighten me because those places represent the strongest defense line and foundation of mankind. But brother, I am here now. Xiao Bofong's voice sounded again, with a resolute tone. Before the true power of the alien beast explodes, I can buy you enough time. You just need to keep moving forward and rush to the top. I will be the traitor of mankind, and I will bear all the sins. Her eyes were full of determination, but her voice was filled with uncontrollable sadness. I saw her secretly wiping away the tears from her eyes, and that sad look was deeply imprinted in my heart. My mind was blank, and I was confused, not even knowing how to respond. Is this woman in front of me really the eighth sister? Should I believe her? Just as I was in a state of confusion, a heavy sound of footsteps interrupted my thoughts. A Titan ape walked over with heavy steps and actually spoke. General, we don't have much time. We have been missing from the battlefield outside the domain for 15 hours, which has aroused suspicion from the higher-ups. We should go back. Xiao Bofong nodded gently, turned around and wiped away her tears. Her voice regained its stern tone. 10 minutes later, you will return to the battlefield outside the domain first. I still have things to deal with in the capital. She paused for a moment, then ordered, put all the corpses of the strange beasts here into the storage ring, and let my brother take them away. The Titan ape nodded respectfully and quickly carried out the order. I watched all this, and my heart was still in turmoil. Xiao Bofong had really changed. The gentle sister of the past had become a general leading the alien beasts. And in her eyes, there was clearly a kind of determination that I could not understand. She took a deep breath and her voice became softer again. Bai, I know which path you want to take. But the power of the Holy Spirit is not something you can get rid of just because you want to. Bai Yaya wants to obtain the entire inheritance of Tianyin Valley, and the alien beasts have studied the Supreme Bone and the Holy Spirit Bone to a level that you can't imagine. After she obtains the inheritance, I will guide you in the next direction. Before I finished speaking, I heard a deafening trampling sound in the distance, like the sound of the sky collapsing and the earth splitting. I looked up suddenly and saw that hundreds of thousands of alien beasts had actually withdrawn at this moment. The huge beast tide retreated silently. I stood there, still feeling like I was in a dream, and deep in my heart, I couldn't believe what I saw. Sister, I muttered to myself. My eighth sister, who had been missing for many years, has now become the leader of the rebels and appeared in front of me with these terrifying beasts. How did all this happen? At the same time, the retreat of the beast tide also allowed the strong men from the outside world to sense an opportunity. The beast tide has finally retreated. Go find Bai Long. Lin Ping shouted loudly and rushed towards me with a group of people. Obviously, from Wu Long's attitude, it can be seen that I have become a person they value very much. Although Lin Ping did not know the inside story, he could feel that my importance was not just a student he valued. On the other side, Bai Yaya walked towards the core area of the beast tide alone with a gun. There was a touch of determination and fatigue in her eyes. She was almost exhausted after a hard fight last night. Every beast she fought against was a master or even a god of war. In order to conceal her strength, she chose to take a detour and kill into the beast's lair from another direction. Bai Yao knew that she needed to find me as soon as possible. At this moment, a huge explosion suddenly sounded in the sky. Bang! A red flare soared into the sky, illuminating the entire sky. The signal I sent made the powerful people around me react instantly. Although Bai Yao failed to detect the signal flares rising in the distance with her mental power, her communicator suddenly rang, and an urgent call came from the other end of the phone. Her hands trembled slightly, and her dead eyes rekindled their vitality. Bai, is that you? You're still alive, right? Bai Yao's voice was choked with sobs. The suppressed emotions finally broke out at this moment. Grievance, worry, and despair were intertwined in her voice, as if all the emotions over the years were poured out. She kept looking for me and never gave up. I'm sorry. A lot of electromagnetic beetles interfered with the signal last night, so I couldn't contact you. I said softly, looking at Bai Yao, trying to hold back tears, and I felt an indescribable pain in my heart. The suppressed sobs in her eyes made me feel guilty, and I could hardly look at her. It's okay. As long as you're alive, it's good. Bai Yao's voice was trembling as she asked nervously, Where are you now? I'll come find you. I sent you the location. Follow me. I said, feeling a little relieved. Although everything seemed calm, Lin Ping and his team had already arrived, so I couldn't leave the spot for the time being. This flare was the idea of the Titan ape. I could only contact the Ministry of Education half an hour after they retreated. I'll be there right away. Bai Yao came to me quickly according to the location without any hesitation. Lin Ping and his group arrived first. When he saw that I was unharmed, he finally breathed a sigh of relief, with a look of relief on his face. Then Wu Long, the Deputy Minister of Education, and Xia Lei, the Minister of General Political Department, followed closely and came to my side. Lin Ping stepped forward and patted my shoulder. He couldn't help but tease me. Bai Long, you are really lucky. Hundreds of thousands of alien beasts and beasts at the God of War level couldn't take your life. I forced a smile and nodded in response. Yeah, that's lucky. Xia Lei frowned and looked around carefully, then asked, Bai Long, were you hiding in this cave last night? I nodded calmly and made up a plausible excuse. Yes, those beasts were too strong last night. Fortunately, this cave is deep and the iron-horned rhinoceros couldn't get in. Neither could the other beasts. That's why I was lucky enough to survive. There were still many traces of battle and blood on the ground. But as for the real situation last night, I knew I couldn't tell the truth. So, I pretended to be confused and gave an ambiguous answer. Anyway, they had no evidence to prove that there was any connection between me and those strange beasts. Bai. Suddenly, a quick shout interrupted our conversation. Bai Yao pushed through the crowd and appeared in front of me in a mess. Her body was covered with dried animal blood, and the blood that had already clotted made her look a little haggard, but her concerned eyes looked straight at me with endless resentment and heartache. I'm explaining to them. I turned around and was about to explain again, but I saw the emotions that had been accumulated in her eyes all night finally burst out. Bai Yao suddenly threw herself into my arms and hugged me tightly. She cried silently, and her shoulders trembled slightly. During the endless killing last night, she had thought that I was no longer alive and even prepared to take my body back for burial. At this moment, she finally saw that I was safe and sound, and she could no longer suppress her emotions, and tears silently fell. I patted her back gently, trying to comfort her, but seemed a little helpless. Bai Yaya bit my shoulder hard, with a hint of resentment, and also with her way of venting her emotions. Bai Long, what happened to you last night? Don't try to convince me with the trick you used to fool Lin Ping and the others. Bai Yao raised her head from my arms, her eyes red, her voice filled with grievance and anger. Your supreme bone grew so much overnight, it's impossible for me not to know what you went through. Tell me the truth. Don't lie to me. Looking at her worried face, my heart softened. Bai Yao is not an outsider. She's the person I trust the most. Although Xiao Bofong has told me not to reveal the truth, I know that I can't hide it from her no matter what. Because it is she who has always been by my side and given me the strength to persevere. It's not convenient to talk here. I sighed and said softly, when we get home, I will tell you everything. I won't lie to you. Absolutely not. If I lie to you, God will punish me with lightning. There was a hint of emotion in her eyes, and she nodded slightly, but still with some hesitation. Bai Yao and I appeared at the monitoring point of the West Gate examination hall. Everyone's eyes froze instantly. They obviously didn't expect that I, Bai Long, the former eldest son of the Zhao family, could actually come back alive. Last night, the entire Ministry of Education and number 15 middle school were frantically looking for me. Everyone thought I had died in the beast tide. After all, who could survive such a terrifying situation? Zhao Xing's eyes were instantly filled with shock. His pupils suddenly contracted, and he could hardly believe his eyes. At the same time, a burning anger gushed out from the depths of his heart. How can he still be alive? He roared in his heart, but tried to control the expression on his face. Damn it, he's not dead. God, why are you playing such a joke on me? Zhao Wuxuan was also stunned, and his heart was tortured by anger and jealousy. He couldn't accept this fact. How could Bai Long survive such a beast tide? I talked to Lin Ping and the others for a few words, then took Bai Yao and walked straight towards Zhao Xingtian. He was the one who sent the assassin, so he had to settle the account. Brother, you are still alive? Zhao Xing's emotions were almost out of control, his voice trembling, and he was furious. He suddenly burst into an angry roar. Why are you still alive? Why don't you die? I sneered, my tone was icy. Are you disappointed that I'm alive? Are you very unwilling that I didn't let the iron-horned rhinoceros kill me? Zhao Xingtian hurriedly shook his head, with a hypocritical smile on his face. Brother, don't get me wrong. We are a family. How could I want to harm you? Why would I do this? Huh? I sneered, my eyes full of contempt. You know it well. The killer's body has been taken away by the Ministry of Education. The Martial Arts Bureau, the Ministry of Education, and the Capital War Zone are jointly investigating. The truth will soon be revealed to the world. How long can you keep jumping around? Zhao Xingtian's face turned pale instantly, and his heartbeat suddenly accelerated. He tried to continue to explain himself in a panic, but his mind was in a mess at this time, and any excuse seemed so pale and powerless. Brother, his lips trembled slightly, and just as he was about to speak, suddenly, a heavy slap hit his face hard. Zhao Xingtian, stop pretending and put away your dirty tricks. Who do you think you can fool? My voice was low and full of chill. Bai Long, you are looking for death. Zhao Wuxuan, who was standing aside, watched his brother being beaten. He was so angry that he almost lost his mind. Swish! Bai Yao indifferently unfolded the ancestor's secret order and looked at Zhao Wuxuan expressionlessly. Zhao Wuxuan, I'm very unhappy now. Either you cut off one of your arms, or I use the ancestor's secret order to destroy Zhao Xing's cultivation. Bai Yao's words seemed to stab Zhao Wuxuan's heart. He turned pale, knowing that she was not joking. The Zhao family bloodline gave them higher potential, but at the same time, the bloodline was also their weakness. The ancestor's secret order in Bai Yao's hand was enough to control the Zhao family bloodline in Zhao Xingtian's body and completely destroy him. Zhao Wuxuan's heart was beating violently. He knew very well that either of these two choices would make the Zhao family lose face. Although the broken arm could be repaired, the dignity of the Zhao family would undoubtedly be overshadowed. If Bai Yao crippled Zhao Xingtian, The Zhao family and the entire Dragon Kingdom's top leaders would be extremely angry. But Zhao Xingtian is a genius valued by the capital, with SS plus bloodline, and Longhua and the Ministry of Education are trying their best to cultivate him. If he is abandoned, the consequences will be disastrous. Zhao Wuxuan gritted his teeth and hesitated. Zhao Wuxuan, tell me your answer. Bai Yao's voice was cold and merciless. I don't have time to waste with you. Zhao Wuxuan's eyes were blazing with fire as he stared at Bai Yao. Bai Yao, don't go too far. I just went too far, so what? Bai Yao sneered, her eyes full of sarcasm. Who let the Zhao family ancestors' secret order be in my hands? I am qualified to make the decision. Zhao Wuxuan was furious, his palms clenched into fists, but he finally gave in. I can cut off one of my arms. This is the only thing I can accept. Bai Yao smiled coldly and shook her head, saying, No, either you cut off one of your arms or destroy Zhaoxing's cultivation. You choose one. Zhao Wuxuan's face instantly turned pale, and he was struggling violently in his heart. Some of the students around him couldn't stand it anymore, and they whispered to each other, thinking that Bai Yao was a little too much. After all, Zhao Xingtian didn't hurt me personally, and they felt that Bai Yao and I were forcing the Zhao family so hard, which was a little inhumane. Mr. Bai, can you do whatever you want just by relying on the order of the ancestor of the Zhao family? Someone whispered in the distance. Bai Yao turned around, her eyes flashing with a sharp cold light, and her voice was extremely cold. Shut up, you ignorant idiots. When is it your turn to intervene in the feud between the Bai family and the Zhao family? You don't understand the true face of the Zhao family at all. Her aura instantly shocked the students who were talking about it, and no one dared to speak again. Zhao Xingtian was filled with endless hatred at this moment, and he wished to completely destroy me and Bai Yao. Bai Yao and me angrily, and roared, Bai Long, what are you capable of? What's the point of hiding behind a woman? If you have the guts, come and suppress me yourself. Bai Yao sneered and ignored his provocation. Zhao Wuxuan, since you don't want to choose, then I will choose for you. She raised the ancestors' secret order and prepared to start. No, I will cut off my own arms and bear this disaster for Xingtian. Okay. Zhao Wuxuan finally compromised, his tone full of shame and resentment. Bai Yao snorted coldly, her eyes full of disdain. It's too late. Zhao Xing'an, your good days are over. Zhao Xingtian was completely shocked by Bai Yao's aura and reacted almost subconsciously. With a crisp crack, his left arm fell instantly, and the sound of bones breaking was horrifying. Pain instantly surged onto Zhao Xing's face, his expression twisted, and large beads of cold sweat slid down his forehead. Despite this, he would rather endure the severe pain than endure the despair of having his talent abolished. Bai Yao, you wait. Don't give me a chance. Otherwise, I will make sure that everyone in your Bai family will die. Zhao Wuxuan stared at Bai Yao angrily, his face full of hatred that almost burst out. He gritted his teeth and broke his left arm, blood gushing out, and the huge pain made his face turn pale. Xingtian, let's go. Zhao Wuxuan endured the severe pain and supported Zhao Xingtian with his right hand. Zhao Xingtian's face was as white as paper, and his forehead was covered with cold sweat, but he still didn't make a single groan. He knew that compared to abolishing his talent, breaking his arm was his best choice at the moment. I watched them leave coldly, my eyes full of chill. Zhao Xingtian, I will not let this go easily. If you want to kill me, you will have to pay the price. I will take back the glory you got from me bit by bit. My voice was like ice, cold and full of murderous intent. Zhao Xingtian looked at me with hatred, and the hatred in his eyes was chilling. He wanted to kill me in the first place, and now he wanted to tear me into pieces with his own hands. On the way back to Beijing, Zhao Wuxuan fixed Zhao Xingtian's injured arm and made a phone call. Second sister, are you in the hospital now? Xingtian is injured, and those two bastards Bai Yao and Bai Long actually forced us to cut off one of our arms. Otherwise, we would not be able to get out at all. On the other end of the phone heard the news and immediately became nervous. Cut off one of your arms? What happened? Zhao Wuxuan's voice was angry and hurried. How should I know? Bai Long was surrounded by a tide of beasts last night, but he came out alive this morning and started to cause trouble for us. He even dared to change his name and claimed that he was no longer a member of the Zhao family. Xingtian is an SS-level talent. He is the future of our Zhao family and even the hope of the entire Dragon Country. You must make sure his arm is repaired intact. Zhao Wuxuan's voice was hurried, and he was obviously anxious. At the same time, Zhao Duanshan's face suddenly darkened after receiving the news that Zhao Xingtian had broken his arm. His anger was like the dark clouds before a storm, ready to erupt at any time. The rest of the Zhao family also rushed to the hospital. When Zhao Duanshan saw Zhao Xingtian lying there with his arm fixed and his face pale, his anger reached its peak. Crack! Zhao Duanshan's fist creaked, and he roared in anger. Zhao Sha, how long are you going to harm our Zhao family? Zhao Siyuan and Zhao Luyao looked at Zhao Xingtian's miserable state, their eyes full of anger and hatred. The fourth sister, Zhao Siyuan, almost gnashed her teeth, and the sixth sister, Zhao Luyao, also had a cold face, with a fire in her eyes that could not be suppressed. Zhao Qiming and Zhao Jiujio were silent, especially Zhao Jiujio, who silently shed tears. Fifth sister, Zhao Wuxuan, didn't care about her own injuries, and her heart was all on Zhao Xingtian. Xingtian, how do you feel? Zhao Duanshan had a cold face, and his voice was still filled with suppressed anger. Dad, I'm fine. Zhao Xingtian endured the pain and forced a smile. Don't blame my brother for this. I understand him. He was still frightened by the beast tide last night, so he naturally thought I had something to do with it. He was chased by the iron-horned rhinoceros. He deserved it. It's just that God was blind and didn't let him die in that examination room. Zhao Wuxuan said angrily, anger churning in his chest. Old Five, shut up! Zhao Duanshan shouted angrily, but his anger obviously had not subsided yet. Mom, don't beg for him anymore. Zhao Luyao said coldly. Bai Long is no longer a member of our Zhao family. He has severed ties with us. If that's the case, why bother to think about the old relationship? He doesn't deserve the surname Zhao anymore. Yes, Mom, stop saying those soft-hearted words. Zhao Wuxuan followed up with a look full of contempt and disdain. Zhao Duanshan's eyes darkened, and he glanced around coldly, his tone full of decisiveness. Since you all think so, then well, I will make a decision today. Expel Bai Long from the family tree, and from now on, he is no longer a member of our Zhao family. The moment she finished speaking, Zhao Milan's emotions completely collapsed. She couldn't accept this reality. She burst into tears and cried out sadly. He is my flesh and blood. How can I bear to sever my relationship with the Zhao family like this? Zhao Xingtian lowered his head, his heart was cold. A faint sneer appeared on his face, and he had only one thought in his mind. Being expelled from the family tree is far from enough. I want to kill him with my own hands and let him die miserably. At this time, Zhao Duanshan's phone suddenly rang. After answering the phone, the housekeeper's voice came. Master, the eighth lady is back, and she wants to see you and the second lady. Zhao Duanshan's expression suddenly changed, and a complex emotion flashed in his eyes. Banfong is back? Xingtian and I exchanged glances and realized that Xiao Bofong's return might not be as simple as it seemed. The eighth sister was once the most favored daughter in the family, but why she left home is still a mystery. Xiao Ba, what do you mean by that? Zhao Duanshan's voice was as cold as ice, but I could sense a hint of suppressed anger from his slightly trembling fingers. He was not a person who got angry easily, but the attitude of eighth sister today completely hit his bottom line. Her tone was calm, but the anger hidden in her words was like a sharp knife that pierced Zhao Duanshan's heart. I saw the expression on his face change slightly, and he seemed a little at a loss. His mother Zhao Milan was sitting beside him, and her expression also changed from loving to astonished. Banfong, what do you want to say? Zhao Siyuan stood up, obviously dissatisfied with the attitude of the eighth sister. Everyone is waiting for you to come back, but you come back with such resentment. Isn't it a bit too much? Xiao Bofong glanced at her coldly. Zhao Siyuan, you always judge others from a high position, but have you ever thought that your so-called concern has always been from your own perspective? Don't you really know why I left home back then? This sentence made Zhao Siyuan's face look unhappy. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. At this moment, I couldn't help but interrupt. Eighth sister, what happened in the past is over. Now everyone just hopes that you can come back safely. After all, the Zhao family is your home. No matter what happens, we are a family. Eighth sister glanced at me with a complicated look, then returned to her cold expression. Bai Long, you are still so naive. I came back today not to reconcile with you, nor for the warmth of some family. I came back because I have something to do. Her words immediately alerted me, and Lian Xingtian couldn't help but frown. Eighth sister, what is your purpose in coming back? Xiao Bofong did not give a direct answer, but just smiled faintly, then looked at Zhao Duanshan. Father, should you tell everyone why I left back then? Or are you afraid to face it? This sentence was like a heavy hammer, hitting Zhao Duanshan's face directly. His face changed completely, even with a hint of panic. His mother Zhao Milan suddenly stood up, her voice trembling a little. Xiao Ba, don't be like this. Let the past be the past, don't mention it again. What happened in the past? Xiao Bofong sneered. You all want me to forget it, but I can't. Back then, I was forced to that point. Do you think I will forgive you so easily? There was a moment of silence in the air. Zhao Duanshan's hands trembled slightly. He took a deep breath, as if trying to suppress something. He finally said, Xiao Ba, what do you want? Xiao Bafong's eyes became sharp. I never want much. It's just that the position of the Zhao family may not always belong to the person you think it belongs to. Hearing this, I was shocked. Is she challenging the power of the Zhao family? Is this why the eighth sister came back? Ew, what are you talking about? Zhao Xing Tian asked in surprise. Obviously, he did not expect things to turn out like this. Xiao Baofong turned around, glanced at everyone present, and said in a cold voice, when I left, it was not because I didn't want to stay, but because I saw the true nature of this family. Do you think I will be willing to be trampled under your feet for the rest of my life? I came back today not to reminisce about the past, but to take back what I deserve. The whole hall fell into a dead silence. Zhao Duanshan's fingers trembled slightly, while Zhao Milan looked at her eighth sister with a complicated expression, as if she couldn't believe she would say such a thing. What do you want? Zhao Duanshan asked in a low voice, with suppressed anger in his voice. I want the future of the Zhao family. Zhao Bafong's eyes were firm and cold, as if she didn't regard the person in front of her as a family member at all, but just an obstacle to her achieving her goal. I took a deep breath. The scene before me was frightening. Xiao Bofong stood there like a volcano that could erupt at any time, and her words were like a raging fire, burning everyone in the Xiao family. You really think you are so high and mighty and that everything you do is your due? I spoke slowly, my voice low, but filled with uncontrollable anger. Zhao Duanshan opened his mouth to speak, but in the end he just snorted coldly and didn't make any more excuses. He knew that no matter how much he tried to argue, they couldn't clear themselves of what they had done over the years. And every word from Xiao Baofong was like a knife, stabbing at his self-righteous dignity. Enough! Zhao Duanshan finally couldn't stand it anymore and shouted angrily. I have already explained the matter of the Supreme Bone and the Half-Life Bone countless times. Explain? Xiao Bofong interrupted him with a sneer. Don't talk nonsense to me. You hurt Bai Long, and you don't even dare to face this fact. Before he finished speaking, Zhao Wuxuan suddenly yelled. Hurt him? Didn't you see what he did to Xing Tian? Who was hurting whom? I glanced at Zhao Xing Tian. The conspicuous severed hand was like a warning sign, reminding everyone of the cruelty of this struggle. When Zhao Bafong saw it, he suddenly showed a cold smile. Oh, your hand is broken? She said lightly. Was it Bai Long who did it? If it was really him, then I really have to applaud. Zhao Xing'an was so angry at her words that he could hardly speak. His face instantly flushed. You are my sister. You actually favor that bitch Bai Long. Why? Biased? Zhao Bafong glanced at him contemptuously. Zhao Xingtian, think about what you have done over the years before you say these words to me. There was suddenly a tense atmosphere in the air, and I felt that Zhao Duanshan's patience seemed to have reached its limit. Xiao Ba, Zhao Duanshan finally spoke, his voice cold. Since you came back to cause trouble, please leave immediately. I, Zhao Duanshan, don't need an adopted daughter like you. Zhao Bafong just smiled softly when she heard this, as if she had heard a funny joke. She slowly walked toward Zhao Duanshan, without any fear in her eyes. Dad, I will scold you a few words today. After all, you still have the grace of raising me, so I don't need to hit you. But for others, don't blame me for being merciless. Her gaze swept across every member of the Zhao family present like a knife. Zhao Wuxuan, Zhao Siyuan, none of you can escape punishment for what you have done to Bai Long in the past few years. Her voice was terribly cold, and every time she said a name, everyone took a step back involuntarily, as if every word she said carried some kind of irresistible power. Zhao Wuxuan, you inoculated the last piece of half-lived bone for Zhao Xingtian, knowing that it would put Bai Long's life in danger, but you turned a blind eye. I cut off your hands. Is that okay? Zhao Siyuan, you rushed into the Bai family and put a bounty on Bai Long's life. Can you accept that I cut off your heart meridian? She sneered, dissecting each crime word by word as if she were judging it. You're crazy. Xiao Siyuan couldn't hold back any longer and rushed towards Xiao Bofong with a roar. Her punch was full of anger and resentment, and she hit Xiao Bofong's chest directly. However, Xiao Bofong just stretched out a finger and gently blocked her attack, his eyes full of mockery and pity. Fourth sister, your strength is just this level. Xiao Siyuan stood there in a daze, unable to believe that his attack was so easily resolved by Ba Mei. She used 60% of her strength, which would have been impossible for Xiao Baofong to block easily in the past. But now Baofong seemed to have become completely unfamiliar, so powerful that it made people feel terrified. Everyone, come together, Xiao Baofong said calmly, as if announcing a battle without suspense. Before you pay the price, I don't want you to say that I bully you. As soon as these words came out, everyone immediately felt as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Zhao Wuxuan and Zhao Siyuan once again joined forces to attack Xiao Baofong. But no matter how hard they tried, Xiao Baofong was still able to handle it with ease, without having to exert much effort at all. Bang! Xiao Baofong slapped Zhao Siyuan away with one palm, and then kicked Zhao Wuxuan away with one kick. Their attacks were like paper, and they had no power to fight back in front of Xiao Baofong. Zhao Siyuan spat out a mouthful of blood and pain. Xiao Baofong's palm almost destroyed her heart meridian. Her future in martial arts had been completely cut off by this blow. Zhao Wuxuan fell to the ground, his arm shattered by Xiao Baofong's kick, his face twisted in pain. You never think you are wrong, Xiao Baofong said coldly, his voice filled with long-suppressed anger. You sacrificed everything of Bai Long for the so-called family interests. You deprived him of his talent and ruined his future, and all this was just for your ambition. Her roar seemed to shake the entire hall, and the anger that had been pent up for many years completely erupted at this moment. Her momentum almost condensed into substance, pressing everyone to the point of suffocation. Today, I came back to seek justice. Zhao Duanshan's weathered face was filled with shock at this moment, and there was a hint of disbelief in his eyes, as if he was trying hard to digest the facts in front of him. Unparalleled realm. Xiao Baiyu? He could hardly continue, his voice full of disbelief. I looked at my father, sneered, and replied calmly, Yes, I have reached the Wushuang realm. His lips trembled slightly, as if he wanted to say something, but swallowed it back. Finally, he took a deep breath and said slowly, Xiao Ba, I don't know what you have been through these years, and I don't know how much you have misunderstood. But we are not what you think. His voice was bitter. You are strong enough now, even surpassing me. You can definitely return to the family and become a great help to the Zhao family. You know, as long as you are willing, the Zhao family will usher in a more glorious future. I stared at him. His hypocritical look disgusted me. Now that they see how powerful I am, they want me to return? Dream on. Now that you realize my power, you want me to go home? I taunted him bluntly. Do you want me to help the Zhao family improve their strength, and then kick me away when Zhao Xingtian and the others have grown up? Don't say you can't do it. You've already done enough for Bai Long. Zhao Duanshan's expression changed slightly, but he quickly returned to his indifference. He said in a voice that seemed to be patient, Xiao Ba, you are my child who I raised since childhood. Even though we are not related by blood, I have always treated you as my own daughter. How could you think of me like this? I smiled, and the smile was chilly, like the frost and snow in winter. Bai Long is your biological son. How come you dare to dig out his half-lived bones, but you don't dare to do anything to me? My words were like sharp blades, cutting into his heart. Zhao Duanshan was speechless for a moment, and could only clench his fists tightly, his fingers turning white. His face was so gloomy that it seemed like water could drip out of it, but he was powerless to refute. I continued to interrogate, my voice cold. Since you can even abandon your own children, tell me, why should I believe that you won't sell me out too? Zhao Duanshan could no longer suppress his anger, and waved his hand fiercely, his face grim. This is totally unreasonable. You are the ones who are unreasonable. My voice resounded throughout the hall. Have you ever truly understood Bai Long? Do you know what he has endured in the Zhao family? You have always defined him from your own perspective, using the name of a thief to completely condemn him to hell. But you have never had any evidence, and you haven't even questioned him. With just one sentence from you, you decided his life or death. What qualifications do you have to stand on the moral high ground? As I roared, the hall seemed to be filled with an oppressive atmosphere. Everyone was stunned, and no one dared to act rashly. I walked towards Zhao Wuxuan step by step. He was once one of the self-proclaimed geniuses in this family, but now he trembled in front of me. You think you were on the side of justice? Well, today I will let you have a taste of justice. I kicked Xiao Wuxuan's right leg hard, and with a crack, his leg bone was instantly broken. He screamed and fell to the ground, his face flushed with pain and cold sweat pouring down. Zhao Duanshan's face suddenly turned gloomy, and the expressions of the other members of the Zhao family also changed, but no one dared to step forward to stop them. I sneered, my eyes stern. You keep saying that it's for Bai Long's good, then today I'm demolishing the Zhao family. It's also for your good. Zhao Wuxuan flew backwards like a kite, crashed into a wall, and landed heavily on the ground. Blood gushed out of the corner of his mouth, and he almost fell into a coma. I showed no mercy. This is the retribution they deserve. Swish, I flashed, and the next moment I appeared in front of Zhao Shire. His face was pale, and his eyes were full of fear. Crack! I shattered his hands with my 2 palms, ruining his cultivation and destroying all his hopes of becoming a strong man. His body was smashed into the ground. Although he was not dead, his bones were almost all broken and blood flowed from his body like a spring. Is this what you call for his own good? I sneered. Zhao Luyao finally couldn't stand it anymore and rushed towards me with a roar. She was like a mad lion, with furious flames flashing in her eyes. What do you want to do, you cripple? You think you can stop me? I turned around and smiled coldly. My eyes swept across her like a sharp blade. You are just courting death. Zhao Luyao completely lost her mind and screamed, "Come on, kill her!" Suddenly, a group of Zhao family warriors rushed into the hall and surrounded me. Although there were many of them, they were not worth mentioning in my eyes. I stood there, watching all this coldly, as if there was no suspense in this battle from the beginning. They were trembling with fear, knowing in their hearts that they had no chance of winning against a peerless expert. Your Zhao family is really good at gathering people. I sneered, my voice as cold as a winter snow. However, the most stupid thing the Zhao family did was to cultivate Zhao Xingtian as the fuse. I slowly glanced around. There were more and more powerful people in the Zhao family, but I remained calm. Zhao Xingtian has harmed Bai Long to this extent, so I will let everyone in the Zhao family have a taste of this pain. When you are bitten back by the person you love the most, you will understand what the cruelest thing in the world is. Zhao Luyao sneered and ordered, "If there are not enough people, come again." Soon, the entire hall was filled with more and more Zhao family members, and the number of people quickly exceeded 1,000, even 2,000 or 3,000. These people were the elite of the Zhao family. In this situation, even a Wushuang realm expert would find it difficult to deal with it alone. I glanced at him calmly and said contemptuously, "Is this the person you can call?" Zhao Luyao sneered in response, "It's enough to deal with you." Half an hour later, the Zhao family had gathered more than 3,000 people, and their only target was me. I was afraid that only the Zhao family could pull off such a show. Has everyone been shouting enough? I smiled coldly, my eyes full of disdain. This farce has just begun. When Zhao Luyao said that coldly, I couldn't help but sneer. She was still as naive as usual, thinking that she could kill me with these people. They alone are enough to kill me? Zhao Luyao, you are too confident. I raised the corner of my mouth slightly. My eyes were cold. At this moment, Zhao Duanshan spoke. His voice was deep and full of majesty, with a hint of unquestionable threat. Xiao Ba, I don't know what Bai Long has brainwashed you into, nor do I know why you are so stubborn. But we are a family after all, and I can give you a chance to forgive. As long as you lay down your weapons and kneel down to apologize to your 2nd, 4th, and 5th sisters, I can still keep you in the family and give you a chance to make amends. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh, but my laughter was filled with endless mockery. Ha, Chance? You want me to kneel down and make amends? Zhao Duanshan, you are so shameless. Zhao Luyao became impatient and shouted to the people behind her, "Stop talking nonsense with her. Everyone kill her." At the moment when those powerful family members rushed towards me, the atmosphere in the air suddenly became weird. I sneered and waved my hand gently. Along with the sound of my wild laughter, several small dimensional doors opened beside me, followed by roars. One by one, strange beasts ran out of the dimensional doors with great momentum. Strange beasts! Everyone in the Zhao family stood there in shock, their eyes filled with fear and astonishment. No one had expected that I, Xiao Bofong, would actually betray humanity. At this moment, the battle zone far away in the capital also sensed the fluctuation of dimensional power, and the command center immediately locked the source of the fluctuation. The Zhao family, It was not just a small-scale fluctuation, but a surge of dimensional power like a tide. Super combat readiness. Super combat readiness. All combatants in the Beijing war zone should immediately go to the Zhao family for support. An urgent order echoed in the command center. Not only the Beijing war zone, but also major departments and families set off and began to rush to the Zhao family. At this moment, the Zhao family became the center of the storm in the capital, and no one could escape. The influx of strange beasts made the situation completely out of control. With a terrifying roar, a huge black spider appeared beside me and saluted me respectfully. It was 8 meters long, covered with a black carapace, and looked ferocious and terrifying. "General," the black spider spoke in the language of alien beasts, his voice low and hoarse, as if announcing destruction. I sneered and said, "Make a big fuss of the Zhao family and throughout the capital. I want everyone to see what happens if they mess with my brother." "Yes." Black Spider nodded and led countless beasts to attack. Hundreds of beasts in the God of War realm rushed out of the Dimension Gate. Their momentum was enough to suffocate people, and the entire Zhao family fell into chaos. Zhao Xingtian stood in the distance, his legs weak, his face as pale as paper, and he fell to the ground, trembling with fear. Zhao Duanshan was so frightened that his face turned pale, and he hurriedly retreated with Zhao Xingtian and Zhao Luyao. Facing the invasion of the War God Realm Beast, they were completely powerless to fight back. Their only hope was that the Zhao family, as strong men in the battlefield outside the domain, could return in time. I stood there, watching all this with a cold eye. My heart was calm. My order was clear. Don't kill too many people except the Zhao family. After all, I have bigger plans. If I anger the Dragon Kingdom too much now, it will be detrimental to Bai Long's future growth. I am not here to destroy everything, but to create opportunities for my brother. At this moment, a man with a clown mask and gray hair walked out of the dimensional door. There was a strange smile on the corner of his mouth, and the sound was as creepy as the friction of metal. "General Zhao, you've made quite a fuss," he said slowly, his tone frivolous. I frowned, obviously displeased by his appearance. "Why are you here?" I asked coldly. He gently shook the black gold folding fan in his hand, with strange runes carved on the edge. "Anyway, there was nothing to do in the outer battlefield. I saw you mobilize the army, so I came over to see what was going on." I snorted coldly, with a hint of impatience in my tone. "I can handle the things here. You go back." However, he still smiled calmly and said calmly, "You solve your problem. I will just watch the fun and won't interfere." I knew he was here to monitor me. Although he had been in the alien beast camp for a long time, he never showed his strength easily and always looked mysterious. I didn't like him, but I had no choice at the moment, so I could only reluctantly agree. Okay. But I still remained vigilant in my heart. As time went by, the roar of helicopters came from the sky, and countless convoys approached the Zhao family. The powerful people from all the major forces in the capital gathered together, and a fierce battle was about to break out. On the other side of the capital, Bai Long's face appeared in my mind, and I knew that all my actions were for him. At the same time, on the other side of the capital, Bai Long was telling Bai Yaya about me. Bai Yaya was shocked, and her face was pale. "Xiao Bofong is actually a human traitor?" she exclaimed in a low voice, but she understood that my betrayal was not complete. All my motives were to protect Bai Long. At this moment, Bai Donghwa's voice came from outside the door. "Bai Yao, something happened at the Zhao family. Xiao Ba is back, but she has betrayed humans and opened the dimensional door. The Beijing war zone has issued a request for reinforcements. Should we send people?" Bai Yao is still young. As the head of the Bai family, her decision is crucial. She thought for a moment and said calmly and decisively, "Uncle, just take a few people with you to show off and give the war zone some face." "Understood." Bai Donghua nodded and quickly arranged for reinforcements. But Bai Yao chose to conceal my affairs, to protect my identity, and even to protect the Bai family. Bai Donghua received Bai Yao's hint and naturally knew how to act, and would not interfere too much in the affairs of the Zhao family. Instead, Bai Yao looked at me playfully, pouting slightly, looking like a spoiled child. "Chobai, you scared me really badly this time. What happened last night was just a false alarm." As she spoke, she waved her little fist and gently hit my chest with a bit of resentment. I smiled helplessly, grabbed her hand, and said with a hint of self-mockery in my voice, "I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Even I am beginning to feel a little dazed." I don't know if I can still trust him. Bai Yaya was slightly startled and looked up at me with a bit of curiosity in her eyes. Did he say anything to you before he left? Xiao Bofong, before he left, appeared in my mind. I slowly said, he gave me a lot of top-level exotic beast materials, saying that he wanted me to recover the supreme bone as soon as possible, and asked me to wait for his next move. After that, I took out the exotic beast materials from the ring. When Bai Yao saw these materials, her beautiful eyes suddenly widened, and she was so shocked that she could hardly speak. These materials are simply priceless, she shouted excitedly with shining eyes. Indeed, these materials are not only rare, but also extremely difficult to obtain. With these, not to mention the speed of restoring the supreme bone, it is even possible for me to recover to my full form before the college entrance examination. Bai Yao grabbed my hand, extremely excited. Chobai, hurry to the forbidden area. I'll help you temper your body. She pulled me along and trotted to the forbidden area of the Bai family. A huge wooden barrel had been prepared there, filled with bright red animal blood, emitting a strong aroma. The exotic animal materials were also poured into the barrel one by one, and the blood quickly began to boil. I took off my clothes and jumped into the boiling blood. The warm beast blood flooded my body, and I could feel the powerful energy pouring into my body, starting to repair and strengthen my supreme bone. As my blood and chi circulated, the starlight around my body seemed to be attracted, as if countless golden lights poured into my body, replenishing my strength. Bai Yao stood aside, constantly adding more exotic beast materials to the bucket, her eyes full of hope and ecstasy. I could feel that the power in my body was growing rapidly every second. At the same time, the battle of the Xiao family continued. After 2 days and 2 nights of fierce fighting, the entire war zone of the capital was mobilized. The army of alien beasts led by Xiao Bofong fought against the Xiao family. Even though Xiao Bofong intended to show mercy, it still brought huge casualties to the Xiao family. And the mysterious man, the gray-haired man wearing a clown mask, always remained a bystander, as if he was enjoying this bloody feast. When the 3rd day dawned, Xiao Bofong finally ordered a retreat. The army of alien beasts passed through the dimensional gate and instantly disappeared into the sky of the capital, leaving only the Xiao family in ruins. The Xiao family's originally magnificent courtyard had now turned into ruins, with less than 1/10 of the wreckage remaining. Xiao Duanshan stood in the dilapidated courtyard, his face pale. He looked at the corpses and broken buildings on the ground. His eyes were empty, as if he had lost his soul. This battle not only cost the Xiao family 300 years of foundation, but also made him feel powerless and desperate for the first time. Zhao Mylan stood beside him, covering her face and crying, her voice choked with sobs. Oh my God! What did our Zhao family do wrong? Why did it turn out like this? Zhao Duanshan shook his head weakly, his voice hoarse. Let's go check on Lao Air and the others first. However, before he could finish his words, he suddenly spurted out a mouthful of blood. His body swayed, and he fell straight down. Husband! Zhao Mylan screamed and rushed to Zhao Duanshan, and the people around him immediately gathered around him. Seeing that he was breathing weakly, everyone quickly put him on a stretcher and rushed him to the hospital. But I know that this is not over yet. Although Xiao Bofong led the beast to retreat on the surface, he did not really leave the capital. On the night after the battle, he quietly sneaked back to the ruins of the Xiao family. Standing between the broken walls, his eyes were cold, as if he was examining this once glorious family. He walked through the broken corridor, walked past the debris on the ground, and pushed open a closed door. In the room, Xiao Yu was chained to the ground by a heavy iron chain, unable to move. Seeing Xiao Bofong appear in front of her, Xiao Yu was stunned for a moment, her eyes full of disbelief and surprise. Eighth sister, you are back? Xiao Bofong approached her and smiled. Sister, long time no see. I hope you are well. Xiao Yu's face was pale, and her voice was a little nervous. When did you come back? The battle outside. Was it you? She couldn't believe that the sister she had once been close to would actually launch such a terrible attack. Xiao Bofong smiled faintly, raised the sword in his hand, and cut the heavy chain with a light chop. I came back yesterday. He said it lightly, as if this earth-shattering battle was just a storm he casually stirred up. Xiao Yu stood there in a daze, looking at the broken chain, and a terrible thought came to her mind. She tried to deny this idea, but the doubt in her heart became stronger and stronger. Xiao Bofong walked up to her and said seriously, "Sister, I don't have much time. Next, I need you to help me stay in the Zhao family, monitor their every move, and protect Bai Long." Xiao Yu's eyes were filled with mixed emotions. She didn't know how to face this sister. The once innocent eighth sister had now betrayed the entire Zhao family. Eighth sister, she whispered, the doubts in her heart becoming deeper and deeper. Xiao Bofong had changed so much. The once gentle sister in her heart had now become so strange. "Sister, you've actually guessed it." Xiao Bofong looked at Xiao Yu coldly, his voice full of cold determination. "I've been missing for so many years. It's impossible for me to come back casually, and I won't suddenly show up at the moment the war starts." Xiao Tian hired a killer to assassinate Bai Long in the Ximen examination hall. "I came back to save him, and also to make the Zhao family pay the price they deserve." Even though the Zhao family had suffered heavy losses, Xiao Bofong's anger was still burning. Over the years, the Zhao family's suppression and humiliation of Bai Long, and their high-sounding attitude, had accumulated too much anger that Xiao Bofong could not calm down. Xiao Yu was stunned for a moment, as if a bolt of lightning had exploded in her mind. Her guess was confirmed. The eighth sister had actually betrayed humans and joined the alien beasts. Xiao Bofong didn't care about Xiao Yu's shock and continued coldly, "Big sister, now that it has come to this, you should understand how shameless the Zhao family is." Looking back, Bai Long was a genius in the capital, and he was brilliant, but after the family took him back, they personally pushed him into the abyss. Now, he has a chance to rise again, and I will never allow any mistakes to happen again. Xiao Yu's eyes were filled with shock. She looked at Eighth Sister, hesitated for a moment, and asked, "Eighth Sister, do you think the White Dragon can rise again?" Xiao Bofong nodded with a firm look in his eyes, and then told Xiao Yu some key information about the Supreme Bone. Now is the critical moment for Bai Long to reshape his Supreme Bone. Xiao Bofong's tone became more serious, "But I have a lot of things to do, and I can't protect him all the time. Big sister, are you willing to be my insider and protect Bai Long for me?" Xiao Yu heard this question. Her heartbeat quickened and her eyes wavered slightly. She suppressed her emotions and asked in a hoarse voice, "What should I do?" She knew in her heart that she owed Bai Long too much, and most of the pain Bai Long suffered was caused by her. If it weren't for her weakness and compromise, Bai Long wouldn't be in the desperate situation he is in now. Moreover, Zhao Xing's wolfish and ambitious nature had long been revealed, but she turned a blind eye to it and even helped him to commit atrocities. During these days of imprisonment, she constantly reflected on herself and finally saw through Zhao Xing's viciousness and betrayal. She was not surprised that Zhao Xingtian hired someone to assassinate Bai Long, but was glad that her eighth sister got the news in time and rushed back to save Bai Long. Xiao Yu felt a sudden chill on her back, as if a cold breath was spreading from the bottom of her heart. The eighth sister's voice was filled with endless chill, and the deep-seated anger and determination for revenge made her feel extremely depressed. "Then, don't I have to get close to Zhao Xingtian as well?" Xiao Yu couldn't help feeling nauseous when she thought of this task. "That's right." Xiao Bafong's voice was flat. "You need to rebuild your relationship with Zhao Xingtian. As for Bai Long, I will make things clear with him. This is your chance to atone for your sins, sister. You also know how wrong you have been over the years. I can't guarantee that Bai Long will forgive you, but this is your only chance." Xiao Bofong gave the choice to Xiao Yu without any hesitation. If Xiao Yu didn't agree, she had plenty of ways to kill these people directly, but that would be too easy. Letting them live in pain and guilt is the real retribution. Bai Long suffered because of them, and they should atone for their sins in the same way. Xiao Yu's eyes. She gently wiped away the moisture from the corners of her eyes and nodded with difficulty. "I am willing to do anything for Bai Long as it can make up for my mistakes." Xiao Bafong nodded slightly, his voice still cold. The Zhao family's partiality to Zhao Xingtian is deeply rooted in their bones, and outsiders can't change it at all. Since it can't be changed, then destroy it completely. Whether it's your parents, sisters, or even you must pay the price for what happened back then. Xiao Baofong left a cold exhortation. "Sister, Bai Long's matter is now in your hands. Don't let me down." After that, she left without looking back. Xiao Yu stood there, her body a little weak, her steps staggering. She knew that the battle had already begun, and she could only choose one side. And what Eighth Sister said was right. This was her only way to atone for her sins. Xiao Yu came to the hospital after walking out of Xiao Baofong's shadow. In the ward, Zhao Duanshan was unconscious, and Zhao Milan was sitting beside the bed, sobbing softly. Xiao Luyao, Xiao Qiming, and Xiao Jiujiu were also beside him, all with angry expressions. Xiao Milan cried and said, "Damn Xiao Bofong! Damn Bai Long! They destroyed the Xiao family." Xiao Luyao sat in a wheelchair, hatred burning in her eyes, and roared in a low voice, "I will never reconcile with them. Bai Long, Xiao Bofong, you will pay the price." Xiao Jiujiu wiped her tears and choked up. "Sixth sister. Why did eighth sister become a traitor to humanity? How could she do this to us?" Xiao Luyao said coldly, "Hasn't it been brainwashed by that bastard Bai Long? All of this is Bai Long's conspiracy. When Xiao Bafong ran away from home, I suspected that Bai Long was behind it. Now it seems that he is right. Bai Long started planning this several years ago." Click! The door of the ward was pushed open, and Xiao Yu walked in. "Mom, how is Dad?" Xiao Yu asked, pretending to be calm. Seeing his father lying on the sickbed in a weak state, he felt a dull pain in his heart, but he knew that he could not waver. Now there was no turning back, and all the regrets were useless. Xiao Yu coldly, eyes full of hatred. "Xiao Yu, you still have the nerve to come here? Aren't you in the same group as Bai Long?" During the war, Xiao Yu was ignored by everyone and no one cared about him. After all, his previous behavior had made the Zhao family regard him as a traitor. At this moment, the angry Xiao Luyao vented all her anger on him, as if Xiao Yu had become the target of her venting emotions. "Such a big thing happened at home. How could I not come?" Xiao Yu looked at Xiao Luyao coldly. The anger in her heart was suppressed, but there was a bit of dissatisfaction in her tone. Xiao Luyao did not give in at all, with anger burning in her eyes. "Why didn't you show up when the family and the alien beasts were fighting so fiercely?" "I'm locked up." Xiao Yu's voice was cold, and locked in the room with an iron chain by my father. "Do you think I can run away? If I hadn't found a way to break free, I would still be tied there." "You are really unreasonable, Xiao Luyao." Xiao Luyao's eyes became more and more angry, and her voice became sharper. "Don't tell me these useless things. You just don't want to care. The family is in such a mess now, all because of you people. Get out. I don't want to see you again." Facing Xiao Luyao's accusation, Xiao Yu suppressed her anger, turned to look at Xiao Jiujiu, and asked coldly, "Xiao Jiu, what's going on? Tell me the truth." Xiao Jiujiu was about to speak. Xiao Milan wiped her tears and interrupted her with a sob. "Boss, let me speak first." Xiao Jiujiu supported her, fearing that she would faint from being too excited. Xiao Milan sighed deeply, wiped away her tears, and tried to calm herself. "Boss, you have to be mentally prepared." Xiao Yu nodded silently and helped her sit down. He looked calm, but his heart was already surging. He had expected this day to come, but he didn't expect it to come so quickly. "Mom, go ahead. I'm ready." Xiao Yu's voice was calm, but his eyes were a little dark. In fact, he already knew everything, but just pretended to know nothing at this moment. Xiao Milan sobbed, her voice choking. "Xiao Ba, he defected to the alien beasts and became a traitor. He led the alien beasts into the Zhao family and forced your father into a coma." "What? Xiao Ba, he actually betrayed us?" Xiao Yu pretended to be surprised, her body stiffened slightly, as if she couldn't believe what she heard. Xiao Luyao was relentless and said in a vicious tone, "Xiao Yu, stop pretending. Who knows if you have colluded with Xiao Bafong and Bai Long? Don't think we don't know." Although this sentence was an unintentional accusation, it touched upon the secret deep in Xiao Yu's heart. He did have some connection with Xiao Bafong, but his relationship with Bai Long was not as close as she said. Xiao Yu smiled coldly, not hiding her inner disgust. "Xiao Luyao, you are really unreasonable. I don't want to listen to your nonsense. Can you be quiet?" Xiao Luyao was furious, her eyes like swords. "You feel guilty, right? I'm telling the truth. Do you dare to refute me?" Just when the atmosphere was about to get out of control, Xiao Milan hurriedly stopped it and choked up and advised, "That's enough, Xiaolu, please say less. After all, we are still a family, so don't quarrel with each other anymore." Xiao Milan's heart was bleeding. This kind of family fight was what she least wanted to see. She wished she could go back to the days when the family was happy and harmonious. But since Bai Long left, everything in the Zhao family had changed. Xiao Yu was silent for a moment, and suddenly remembered the task Xiao Baofong had assigned him. He raised his head and asked, "Mom, where's Shing Tian? How is he?" Xiao Milan was stunned for a moment, then sighed. "He was with your sisters, and they were all seriously injured." Xiao Yu's brows furrowed as he listened to Xiao Milan's narration. He had known for a long time that Xiao Baofong would not show mercy, but he had never expected that she would be so cruel, destroying several important members of the Xiao family, and even causing the entire Xiao family to fall into ruin. Although he knew in his heart that this was the Xiao family's own fault, the price of all this was too heavy. At this moment, Zhao Duanshan on the hospital bed suddenly groaned faintly and slowly opened his eyes. The Zhao family patriarch, who had been in a coma for 20 hours, finally woke up, but he looked more tired and older than before. "Dad!" Zhao Luyao and others immediately surrounded him and looked at him anxiously. Zhao Duanshan stroked his forehead, sat up weakly, took a breath, and asked, "How long have I been unconscious?" Zhao Luyao choked up and said, "Dad, you have been in a coma for 20 hours. Zhao Duanshan forced himself to sit up straight, and a violent cough came from his chest, and his face turned pale and weak. Everyone hurriedly called a doctor to check him, and they were relieved until they confirmed that he was not seriously injured for the time being. "How are Seer and the others?" Zhao Duanshan's voice was hoarse, with fatigue and weakness in his eyes. "They were seriously injured. Although they won't be disabled, most of their strength has been lost," Zhao Luyao replied in a low voice. Zhao Duanshan heard this. He seemed to be drained of all his strength in an instant, and his brows revealed deep fatigue and regret. He used to be the awe-inspiring head of the family, but now he has become an old man, with a trace of sadness and helplessness in his eyes. "Alas, this is all my fault. If I hadn't brought Bailong home back then, there wouldn't be the situation today." Zhao Duanshan lowered his head and sighed, his voice full of disappointment. Even at this moment, he still put all the blame on Bailong and never really reflected on his decision. The once high and mighty Zhao family patriarch finally realized that he could no longer control the situation. Zhao Duanshan took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "Xiao Lu, help me contact the Beijing war zone and hold a press conference with them. Our Zhao family must give an explanation to the Beijing." "Husband, you can't do this. If you really do this, our family will be completely ruined," Zhao Milan exclaimed, her face full of anxiety, and she choked with sobs as she tried to dissuade him. Zhao Duanshan coughed suddenly, his face flushed, and he could hardly speak. But the determination in his eyes made Zhao Milan dare not continue to refute. "A woman's kindness. If you don't announce it, won't others know about it? Xiao Bofong has already opened the dimensional door and let the beasts invade the capital. Can't the war zone in Beijing see it? The Zhao family's only choice now is to make the truth public and save the family. If it is delayed any further, it will only make things more irreversible." Zhao Milan wanted to say something else, but Zhao Duanshan was already impatient and said coldly, "Enough. Shall Lu do as I say? The sooner the press conference is held, the better." "Yes, Dad." Zhao Luyao nodded, took out his cell phone, and started contacting the Beijing war zone. Xiao Yu frowned and suddenly asked, "Dad, have you ever suspected that this matter is related to Bailong?" Zhao Duanshan's face instantly turned livid, and the anger in his chest surged again. He stared at Xiao Yu coldly, almost losing his mind in anger. "If it wasn't him, who could it be? Boss, I warn you not to speak for that traitor again. If you dare to protect him again, you will get out of the Zhao family." Xiao Yu quickly lowered her head. "Dad, don't worry. I have come to my senses and will not make the same mistake again." Zhao Duanshan then reluctantly breathed a sigh of relief. But the moment he turned around, Xiao Yu had already quietly passed the news to Xiao Bofong. Xiao Bofong had anticipated this move by the Zhao family. As long as the press conference was held, a storm of public opinion would quickly rise. The actions of the Zhao family would be pushed into a completely opposite situation. His plan had already been laid out, and now all that was left was for the Zhao family to push this chess piece in an irreversible direction. As soon as the press conference began, Bailong would rise at an incredible speed, surpassing all shackles and growing to a height that ordinary people could not reach. The press conference attracted the attention of almost the entire capital and even most of Dragon Country. The large-scale invasion of alien beasts was unprecedented. Especially in the past 200 years, the capital had never encountered such a serious crisis, and the people of the whole city were in panic. Crunch, crunch, dash. The Zhao family's motorcade slowly drove over and arrived at the press conference site together with the vehicles from the Beijing war zone. Countless cameras were focused on Zhao Duanshan. He deliberately put a plaster on his left hand, pretending to be injured to gain sympathy. As soon as he got out of the car, countless flashes clicked, and reporters rushed to take pictures. Zhao Juzhou helped Zhao Duanshan into the venue, followed by soldiers and senior officials from the Beijing war zone. The atmosphere was tense and solemn. The atmosphere at the scene was solemn, and everyone was waiting for the press conference to begin. The statement jointly issued by the Zhao family and the war zone attracted great attention. After all, this was an unprecedented alien beast crisis, and everyone wanted to know the truth behind it. "The time's up," Zhao Jiujiu reminded in a low voice. Zhao Duanshan nodded, took a deep breath, and walked onto the stage of the press conference. Countless cameras were pointed at him, while the reporters in the audience suppressed the urge to ask questions and waited for him to speak. Zhao Duanshan's face was full of grief and helplessness. He cleared his throat and spoke slowly and heavily. "Everyone, the invasion of alien beasts has brought immeasurable losses to my Zhao family. Our strong men have sacrificed. Families have been broken. Mothers have lost sons. Wives have lost husbands. And children have lost fathers." He paused here, as if he was holding back his grief, and continued, "But this incident is far more than a simple alien beast attack. There is a deeper conspiracy behind it. This is an organized and premeditated targeted action." When these words came out, everyone at the scene was stunned. The reporters stared with wide eyes. Although people from all walks of life had already guessed, they did not expect that the matter was more serious than they imagined. If it was really as Zhao Duanshan said, this was a premeditated attack, then there must be human traitors involved behind it. Zhao Duanshan stared at the audience fiercely with a gloomy look, gritting his teeth and saying, "I want to tell you that the mastermind behind this disaster is my adopted daughter, Xiao Bofong. She rebelled, joined the alien beast army, and became a general who controls countless alien beasts. She is the culprit behind the alien beast army's attack on the Zhao family." There was an uproar in the audience, and the reporters whispered in disbelief. Xiao Baofong, the adopted daughter of the Zhao family, turned out to be a traitor and led the alien beast army to attack the Zhao family? This news shocked the whole audience. Soon, a reporter could not help but stand up and ask, "Master Zhao, may I ask why Xiao Bofong betrayed humans? She is the adopted daughter of the Zhao family and enjoys endless wealth and glory. So why did she turn to the alien beasts?" Zhao Duanshan showed a trace of bitterness on his face, and his voice was suppressed and painful. "All of this is related to my biological son, now Bai Long. When we brought Bai Long back to the Zhao family, we originally hoped that he could become the pride of the family. However, he had a bad character and behaved improperly. He made big mistakes repeatedly and even provoked family relations. He never repented and eventually broke off relations with us." His voice was hoarse, as if he was telling a sad story, trying to make everyone sympathize with him. Bai Long not only did not restrain himself, but also harmed my adopted son Zhao Xing Tian and exacerbated Xiao Bofong's rebellion. Xiao Bofong came back this time just to avenge Bai Long. Zhao Duanshan's words were like a bomb, quickly igniting the atmosphere of the whole place. Reporters took notes one after another, and the name Bai Long instantly became the target of public criticism, with all the criticisms directed at this former member of the Zhao family who had severed ties with him. "Master Zhao, where is Bai Long now? Is he still planning more conspiracies?" a reporter asked anxiously. "The culprit of this incident is Bai Long," Zhao Duanshan said in grief and anger, clenching his fists fiercely. "He is even the fiancé of Bai Yaya, the head of the Bai family. He colluded with the Bai family and tried to destroy the Zhao family." As soon as these words came out, the whole audience exploded instantly. Reporters handed their notebooks to the front row one after another. Someone loudly questioned, "If he is such a dangerous person, why would he sacrifice himself and hand over half of his bones to save Zhao Xingtian?" The female reporter's questioning made Zhao Duanshan's face freeze, and cold sweat dripped from his forehead. He instantly felt that he was forced into a desperate situation, and his tone began to become stiff. "That was just his way of blackmailing us. He has a sinister mind and has already laid all this. But your logic doesn't make sense." The female reporter pressed on. "If Bai Long was really the mastermind behind all this, why would he risk his life to save people?" Zhao Duanshan's face turned pale with anger at this, and he looked at the female reporter fiercely. "Which media are you from?" The female reporter calmly raised her badge and said with a smile, "Beijing Evening News." At this moment, the door of the conference room was suddenly opened, and dozens of soldiers from the Beijing war zone rushed in. The leading soldier shouted loudly, "All the reporters from the Beijing Evening News are missing. She is an imposter." Bang! The scene was instantly in chaos. The soldiers quickly surrounded the female reporter, pointing their guns at her, ready to attack at any time. "Who are you?" the leading soldier asked sternly, his eyes full of vigilance. The female reporter was still sitting on the chair, looking calm and composed with a sneer on her face. "Don't be nervous, I just have a few questions to ask, and I'll leave after I finish asking. Show your identification immediately." The soldier's voice was cold and murderous. Xiao Bofong sighed softly, pretending to be helpless. Although her sigh looked helpless, she never intended to hide her identity. It made no difference whether she was exposed now or after the press conference. She took off her black-framed glasses and wiped off the disguise on her face with a cotton pad, revealing her true appearance. She was not worried, but rather had a playful attitude. At this moment, the whole audience's breathing seemed to freeze, and the soldiers in the war zone and Zhao Duanshan were stunned for a moment. Zhao Duanshan was furious, his eyes full of murderous intent. He had long had doubts in his heart, and finally his suspicions were confirmed. Xiao Bofong appeared again, making the whole situation chaotic. "Why are you in such a hurry? I haven't finished asking my questions yet." Xiao Bofong smiled nonchalantly, leaning back in her chair casually, crossing her legs and sitting there lazily. She was wearing a black silk prison guard uniform, and her posture was still elegant, but her lazy temperament was somewhat sarcastic. It seemed that she disdained the vigilance and tension of the entire occasion. The war zone in Beijing was heavily guarded, but Xiao Baofong, with her unparalleled 8th-grade strength, could sneak in without any difficulty. As her identity was revealed, the reporters at the scene were frightened and hid back, and the soldiers in the war zone immediately surrounded her. The audience on the countless live broadcast platforms were also stunned. They exclaimed at Xiao Baofong's audacity and cursed her for being a human traitor and daring to show up in such an occasion. She simply did not take the entire Dragon Country seriously. "Unparalleled 8th rank," Xiao Baofong said leisurely. These few words instantly made everyone's heartbeat speed up, and they were horrified. "Unparalleled 8th rank. This is already the top combat power among humans. Even the strongest god-level warriors in Dragon Country are no more than this." What's more, if Xiao Baofong took action, it would be no problem to stir up most of the capital. For a moment, the soldiers on the scene were in a dilemma. If they took action, they knew they could not defeat Xiao Baofong. If they did not take action, who could guarantee that she would not start a massacre here or open the dimensional door again, causing a greater disaster? "Everyone, don't be nervous, Master Zhao. Let's continue chatting." Xiao Baofong grinned, his tone extremely relaxed. "Those of you who are live streaming, don't leave, I don't kill people." Some brave reporters stayed and continued to broadcast live. Although the scene was dangerous, the popularity was so high that no one was willing to give up this report that might go down in history. Moreover, if a fight really broke out, the Zhao family and the war zone would definitely bear the brunt, and they would still have time to escape. "Master Zhao, answer me a question. Why did Bai Long leave the family by peeling off half of his bones? And explain why I turned to the alien beasts and became a traitor to mankind?" Xiao Bofong took out a lollipop from his bag, licked it, and smiled ironically and contemptuously. Zhao Duanshan was so angry that he almost exploded. He gritted his teeth and said, "Xiao Bofong, don't be so arrogant. You betrayed humanity and became a shame to my Zhao family and the entire Dragon Nation. Don't change the subject. Answer me directly." Xiao Bofong interrupted him with a wave of his hand, his tone without a trace of emotion. Zhao Duanshan smiled coldly, his voice full of sarcasm. "You just feel that the Zhao family is unfair to you, right? But how did my Zhao family let you down?" Xiao Bofong shook his head slightly, his mocking laughter gradually deepening. "You are right now, but the problem is that you don't even realize where you are wrong." Zhao Duanshan forced himself to remain calm and responded coldly. "As a family that protects the country, our Zhao family is upright and honest." Xiao Bofong's face instantly showed a trace of disgust, as if he was about to vomit. "Don't say that, I feel sick. You keep saying that you are worthy of us. But are you really? Haven't you done enough dirty things in these years? Let me put it here, Zhao Duanshan, you are a stone in the toilet. You will never wake up unless you are smashed to pieces." She stood up. Her movements seemed casual, but they immediately put the soldiers around her on alert, as if they were ready to fight at any moment. Xiao Bofong turned around and faced countless cameras. His expression suddenly became serious. "Bai Long, you don't have many choices anymore. Now, Turn around and come to me. Looking around the world, only I can protect you. Joining the alien beast army is not a big deal, and it can make you stronger. I'll give you a month. I hope you make the right decision." On the surface, these words were said to the camera, but in fact, Xiao Bofong left a way for Bai Long. Long before she came here, Xiao Bofong had discussed with Bai Long, and she did not act first and then report. She understood the suffering Bai Long had endured over the years, so she would never rashly push him to the forefront. She knew how to promote public opinion and protect Bai Long at the same time. The purpose of her words was not only to provoke the Zhao family, but also to make the Dragon Kingdom's top leaders pay attention to Bai Long's existence. She knew that once the Dragon Kingdom realized Bai Long's talent and potential, they would never allow him to become a traitor to mankind. This strategy, on the surface, was Xiao Bofong's attempt to win over Bai Long, but in fact it forced the Dragon Kingdom to fully protect Bai Long and provide him with shelter and opportunities for growth. As Xiao Bofong finished her words, her aura suddenly exploded, and the powerful Wushuang-level aura instantly covered the entire venue. Everyone, including several war god-level masters present, could not move under her aura, and even raising their heads became difficult. The soldiers in the war zone could only look at her helplessly, unable to say a word. Xiao Bofong walked towards the dimensional gate, and the door slowly opened in front of her. Everyone could only watch her leave calmly, without being able to react. Her figure gradually disappeared into the dimensional gate, leaving behind a terrified silence. "Brother, Eighth Sister has paved the way for you. The next time we meet, you will make a sensation across the country." Before Xiao Bofong disappeared, a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, as if he had foreseen the glory of the future. During the 2 days when Xiao Bofong disappeared, public opinion across the country reached a boiling point. Countless people flocked to the Bai family, demanding that the Bai family hand over Bai Long and stand trial. The media swarmed in, filming the scene of the blockade, and the angry people kept making noise at the door of the Bai family. However, the door of the Bai family was closed, and no one was seen. Bai Long and Bai Yaya had already learned about the news in advance, and they had been hiding in the forbidden area of the Bai family, quietly waiting for the situation to change. Now, the more turbulent the public opinion is, the greater the sensation will be when the situation turns around. Xiao Bofong knows this very well. The next move depends entirely on Bai Long as preparation, not her plan. As long as Bai Long is ready, he can turn the game around at any time. At the same time, Xiao Bofong was not worried about her true intentions being exposed. She knew that the Holy Spirit Valley plan of the Alien Beast Corps required Bai Long to stay among the human race to develop. The alien beasts not only needed Bai Long, but also needed to cultivate more geniuses among humans. In fact, Xiao Bofong herself did not know how many geniuses the alien beasts had cultivated in Dragon Country, because each genius had a different contact person in charge. When the alien beasts completely control these human geniuses, the alien beast army can easily take over humans without a single soldier. Therefore, Xiao Bofong must ensure that the white dragon grows quickly and has enough power to compete with the alien beasts. During Bai Long's growth, he will benefit from both. He can obtain resources from the Dragon Kingdom and use the extensive resources provided by Xiao Bofong. With this dual support, Bai Long's soaring is only a matter of time, and the heights he can reach in the future are enough to surpass the glory of the Zhao family's ancestors in the past, and even far surpass it by dozens of times. As time went by, the situation reached its peak. A week later, almost the entire country was cursing Bai Long and Xiao Bofong, and the abuse filled the internet and reality. Number 15 Middle School became the focus of public opinion because Lin Ping publicly supported Bai Long. Outside the school, protesters gathered in groups, demanding Lin Ping give an explanation. Inside the school, students also launched a march, demanding that the school expel Bai Long to avoid damaging the school's reputation. Lin Ping was overwhelmed by this series of events. He was blocked at the door of his house and dared not go out. From time to time, he could hear the sound of protesters banging on the door. Lin Ping never thought that things would develop like this, and he could not accept that Xiao Baofong had become a traitor to mankind. It turned out that the beast tied in the Ximen examination hall was caused by Xiao Baofong, and the target was actually Bai Long. Anxious Lin Ping couldn't bear the pressure and called his godfather Wu Long for help. After the call was connected, Lin Ping said anxiously, "Godfather, the matter is so serious. What should I do?" Wu Long on the other end of the phone spoke calmly, as if these events had not disturbed him. "Calm down. Ping, the more times like this, the more you must not panic. Calm down. Lin Ping was stunned and almost lost control. Godfather, the people outside are about to break down my door, and the school can't handle it anymore. How can I stay calm? Wu Long on the other end of the phone was silent for a while, and then his tone became even lower. Ping, the power behind Bai Long is beyond your imagination. Since Xiao Bofong dared to do this, she must have some plan. All you can do now is to hold on and wait for the situation to change. Bai Long will not always be passive. One day, he will make these people shut up. Lin Ping hung up the phone, but he still couldn't calm down. He looked at the surging crowd outside the window, and his heart was full of contradictions and helplessness. He knew that his godfather's words made sense, but the predicament before him made it impossible for him to think calmly. He could only wait, waiting for the counterattack that would overturn everything. At the same time, in the forbidden area of the Bai family, Bai Long sat cross-legged, immersed in meditation. After a week of hustle and bustle, he had begun to adapt to this sudden storm. Even though the outside world's abuse and accusations against him surged like a tide, his heart was like a calm lake, as if everything was expected. Bai Yaya stood beside Bai Long, looking solemn. She walked gently to Bai Long and whispered, "Bai Long, are you ready? The pressure outside is getting greater and greater, and I'm worried that you will be affected." Bai Long opened his eyes. His gaze was like a torch, and there was a resolute light in his eyes. He shook his head slightly and said firmly, "Pressure? This is just a part of my growth. My goal is not just to clear my name. I want everyone to see the true power." Bai Yao nodded. Although she knew Bai Long's determination, as a member of the Bai family, she still felt vaguely uneasy. Bai Long's misfortune and Xiao Bofong's various actions made her feel heavy. "If you need anything, please let me know," Bai Yao said with a hint of tenderness in her eyes. She knew that Bai Long's future was closely related to her. Bai Long smiled slightly. "Thank you for your support. Now all we need is time. I have a plan. Since Xiao Bofong and the alien beast army want to use me, I will use them in return." "What's your plan?" Bai Yao asked. She was obviously very interested in Bai Long's plan. Bai Long took a deep breath and said slowly, "I will use this public opinion storm to create an opportunity for everyone to see my true strength in the process. At the same time, I will also plan a large-scale operation to expose Xiao Bofong's plans one by one. As for the external pressure, I will turn it into a driving force to push me forward." At the same time, Xiao Bofong's plan was also progressing in an orderly manner. She was in the headquarters of the Alien Beast Corps, meeting with the high-level alien beasts. She had a smug smile on her face and was obviously satisfied with her layout. "Xiao Bofong, do you think Bai Long will act according to the plan?" asked the leader of the Alien Beast Army, with a hint of anticipation in his tone. Xiao Bofong stroked the cup in his hand and replied with a smile, "I am very confident in Bai Long's performance. He is a rough jade. As long as he is given time, he will polish himself to be more brilliant. Moreover, the whole situation is under my control." The leader nodded, a smile on his face. "In that case, let's proceed according to the plan. Our goal is not only to control the genius of mankind, but also to plunge the entire Dragon Kingdom into chaos." After the meeting, Xiao Bofong returned to her office, tapping her fingers on the table, thinking about her next move. She knew that her plan not only required Bai Long's cooperation, but also her own precise operation and planning. As time went by, the storm of public opinion did not weaken, but became more intense. Protests broke out across the country, and the media reported negative news about Bai Long and Xiao Baofong, as if to push everything to an uncontrollable point. Lin Ping's plight gradually worsened. As the number of protesters increased, his door was smashed to pieces, and the unrest inside the school became more serious. Faced with such a situation, Lin Ping almost fell into despair. At this moment, he received a strange call. A middle-aged man's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Lin Ping, I'm the consultant of the Bai family. I know your current predicament and understand your anxiety. I have some information that can help you get out of trouble." Lin Ping's heart was shocked. He knew that the Bai family had a lot of resources and connections. If they were willing to lend a hand, they might be able to solve the current predicament. He hurriedly asked, "What kind of help can you provide? I need to solve the problem urgently." Lin Ping hesitated for a moment, but finally decided to accept the help.